Good morning, everyone. It's Nicola Beadle here from Surviving Your Year Abroad, welcoming you to the Big Year Abroad interview. I'm an ex-year abroad student myself, and after interviewing lots and lots of students for over 9 months, I wrote the book called Surviving Your Year Abroad, Saving into the Company. And these amazing people who shared their knowledge and wanted to pass on the year abroad information to all you out there. Are going to take part in this 3-day webinar event over the next few days. And one of them, Kate, she joins me now, and she went to Belgium on study abroad. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Nicola.
Hi there. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to go on year abroad?
Well, I'm currently a final year law student. At the time, I was in my second year, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do when I'd finished and getting a job and things, scary things like that. And the opportunity to go on a year abroad came up, and I just thought it'd be a really interesting experience to meet a lot of new people and see how things work somewhere else. Because I think when you're at university, you get in a bit of a bubble, and you sort of don't realise the rest of the world's out there. So I thought it'd be a really interesting experience.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have said. Like, it was sort of getting out of the bubble was nice for a little while. And so you're on a law course. I mean, a lot of people sort of associate year abroad with only language courses. What did you think gave you that sort of push to do it, being a law student?
I think for me, law can be very sort of directed towards what you want to do. Like most people on the course have really set ideas about what they want to do. They want to go and be a solicitor, they want to go and be a barrister.
Yeah.
And for me, I wasn't completely certain about what I wanted to do at the time. So I think for me, it gave me the opportunity to go and look at sort of some other potential careers, like just different things that were out there in international organisations and meeting different people and getting different experiences of, rather than just being set in, this is what you've got to do forever.
Yeah, definitely. And did you find it helped getting out there?
I think it really helped because Belgium, particularly where I was, is a very international course. So there was people from all across the globe, particularly across Europe, and it just sort of gave you very different perspectives, meeting people from all the different places on what they wanted to do, and they weren't necessarily as set in this is what I'm going to do and this is what I've had planned for like the last 5 years as necessarily people in a lot of UK courses are.
Mm-hmm. And so that's got to look good in your CV, right? That's got to be something quite different.
I think it definitely helps, like particularly even in interviews and stuff, it gives you something very specific to talk about. And I mean, having been on a year abroad, you think, oh, there wouldn't be that much to say, but there really is a lot you can talk about.
Definitely, because they love seeing the fact that you've got initiative and you've gone off, especially when it's not an obligatory part of your course. I think it really shows something different, which is, at this day and age, the way things are at the minute, that's something that can only be a plus.
Yeah, definitely. With the trying to get a job at the moment, it's definitely, I think, a big positive, particularly if you're looking at career that involves anything international. You can say, well, I spent a year living somewhere, it's completely different than here. I've already got a bit of experience of that, which obviously shows you can be quite independent and quite able to go out there and get involved.
Definitely. And what was your experience like out there in studying and just being abroad in general on your own?
For me, it was a really positive experience. Just sort of the opportunity to get that sort of independence and just sort of try something completely different. At the end of the day, it sounds quite scary, but it's actually not that different when you're there. It's very like just going to university. I mean, you move into a flat with other people. It's very like when you move initially to university, but obviously it feels a lot more scary because you're abroad and you're away from away from your family and your friends that you do know. There's not quite the availability to go home and be like, Mom, didn't like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, exactly, definitely, definitely. And so what was you, just thinking back to the very beginning, obviously it must feel like, yeah, especially being in final year, it must feel like it was a long time ago. But what was your first day like? What did you do and how did you feel more than anything
Obviously, it was quite scary, sort of going over there and thinking, oh, like, are you going to meet people? Is what's everybody going to be like? But at the end of the day, on most of the year abroad programs, they make it quite easy for you to meet other Erasmus people. I was on Erasmus, but other
else?
sort of international students as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's often a lot of events that are organised by the university. My first day, I remember I went on the internet and I was thinking, oh, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to go out there and meet people? And like already there's like a Facebook group set up where people were chatting about going out for a drink and meeting up. And I literally just thought, right, well, I'm here, I'm going to get involved. And I just went along to that. And it was like the first week, literally, there was just events, people chatting every night as different people were coming over. And
Yeah.
within the first week, I met people that I was friends with for the entire year.
Oh, well, this is the thing. I mean, I think a lot of people worry about, oh, I'm not going to meet any friends. I know that was a big worry for me. I was like, I'm going to this little town. How am I going to meet anybody? But you just do. It's as much as you might worry about it, and you think, oh, I don't know anybody. Within like an hour or 2 hours, you've met different people, and I think that's something people don't really realise, that you're not going to be alone for an entire year. You do meet everybody, and you do meet friends. But often, I mean, you're still in touch with years on. I mean, I know I'm 3 years later now, and I'm still in touch with people who I met on my year abroad. I imagine that's the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was about 5 minutes ago. I was just sending a Facebook email to like about 4 people I met on year abroad about like Christmas plans and meeting up, and in the holidays. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
just I think something. Yeah, it's just it seems a lot scarier when you're going over there, but then it's very like when you go to university in Freshers Week, it's all people you don't know, and
yeah.
yet it's all people that everybody wants to make friends. Everybody wants to nobody wants to sit at home by themselves for an entire year. Everyone wants to make friends, and everyone's just in exactly the same position you are. They want to get out there.
Definitely, and I think that's the sort of thing to remember as well, that if you are having one of those moments where you feel a bit down, that you're missing home or whatever, is to remember that you're not on your own. Because I think that can be a feeling some people get, like you say, trapped at home, sitting at home or whatever, and it's just remembering you're not on your own, and there's everybody else is probably feeling exactly the same way, especially like now, this sort of time, just run up to Christmas. People are like ready to come home for maybe a week or so at Christmas. Did you come home um, for Christmas time, or did you decide to stay out there?
Christmas was the only holiday I did actually come home. I spent Easter travelling with everybody, but Christmas, I think, for me is a very big family time, and
Yeah.
I wanted to come back and see what everyone had been up to, and catch up with a lot of my friends from back home as well.
Yeah, and coming back home, did you find it a bit strange, obviously, because you're doing a law course, that everybody, maybe all your friends had then graduated, and starting again in as a final year student?
Particularly on law, yeah, it's quite weird to come back, and there are a lot of people that have left. A lot of people that are on 3-year courses have obviously gone, but
Yeah.
at the same time, there's a lot of people that are on 4th-year courses. Like a lot of my friends are language students. A lot of my friends are science students. There are a lot of people you find are still here, because that was one of my biggest worries as well. When you come back, there'll be nobody that
Yeah.
here, but it's not true at all, because you find there are a lot more people that are on courses that last 4 years than you really ever think about.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And just, so what was studying it like in Belgium? Was it quite different to here?
It was quite different definitely for a law student from my perspective, because here we have this year I have 4 lectures a week, so 4 hours. Over there they have a lot more lectures, but at the same time there's a lot less reading, so it's over here I have very independent study, whereas over there it was more you go to the class, they teach you, and then you've got the rest of the afternoon free.
Yeah, wow. I bet you managed to do a lot of stuff then in the afternoon, and going off and experiencing what life in Belgium was really like.
I particularly been in Europe, being in Belgium, it was a great opportunity to sort of travel all across Europe. I mean, it's probably the one time we've thought like we'd come to a weekend and I'd be with people and they'd be like, oh, we haven't got anything planned for this weekend, what should we do? And literally people would suggest, oh, let's get a train to Berlin, let's go to Holland, like
Yeah.
just things you'd never think about normally. Like you sat there for the weekend, oh, I could just go there and literally go to a different country and spend the weekend in a different city completely.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like a different mentality, isn't it? Once you're out there, you're like, yeah, let's go to the other end of the country for the weekend. Why not? Because it's the only way
It's
to really
definitely
see it.
That's it. It's definitely something you never really think about. Well, certainly when I'm back in the UK, like I just never think, oh, I'm just going to go, jump on a plane or on a train to, France or something. Whereas there you were like, this seems really normal. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And you said you went travelling over Easter. Where did you go?
I just went around a lot of Eastern Europe, really. A lot of countries I've never been to, like Hungary, the Czech Republic. We went to Prague. We went to Budapest. That's in Hungary.
Yeah.
And then we went over to Germany. I'd already been to a lot of places in Holland, but went to Maastricht. I'm a law student, so they have a big treaty there, which is very dull.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting, isn't it, to see something that you're maybe studying and see sort of get the opportunity to see it as well, because a lot of people, especially if you're a law student, and you tend not to be inclined to go on a year abroad, or at least not obliged to do one. So it must have been quite interesting as well to see different aspects. So when you were studying in Belgium, did you study law courses or what did you do there?
I studied mostly law courses, but all the law courses I did were obviously international ones, because a lot of the university I was in was Dutch speaking.
Okay.
So a lot of the courses were like on actual Belgian law were in Dutch.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Was quite difficult for me because I had a bit of knowledge of French when I went over there, but I didn't know any Dutch at all. Because Belgium has a dual language; they speak Dutch and French.
Yeah.
So a lot of the courses I did were ones that were international law courses, which is quite a different perspective than you get in the UK, because you often learn about what's going on at home, but you don't realise how much law is sort of set internationally and how many rules for everything, not just law, is like trading rules, etc., that are all done internationally, and you get the opportunity to have a very different sort of, obviously in Belgium, pro-Europe, which is very different than
Yeah.
than the UK.
Yeah, definitely. And so on these law courses, you mentioned some of them were in Dutch, but the rest in English? Then
A lot of the courses a lot of my courses were in English. We did have the opportunity to do some in Dutch with English tutoring, which some of my friends gave a go, and there was also opportunities to do some in other languages, like I did a little Spanish course, but that was just, again, it was my option to do that.
Wow. So they really cater to giving you a different sort of experience.
You could really do whatever courses you want. I mean, I did a few criminology, sociology modules. I did one of my friends did a geography module. I mean, it's really a case of getting involved in whatever you think you want to be honest. I mean, there's so many different opportunities, and particularly in Belgium, it's very different. Here I do 6 courses for a whole year, whereas over there I did a lot of smaller courses. I think I did 12 courses in the whole year, but they're obviously a lot smaller courses. So you've got to try a lot of different things rather than just sort of very set, specific, these are the 6 topics you're learning about, and that's it.
Yeah. And how did that sort of, coming back to the UK and on your law course, how did that sort of transfer back?
Obviously, there's very big differences over there. As I was saying, it's very much you go to the classes and you learn what you need there. So you sort of, and you don't do like a lot over here. I have a lot of like formative assignments, so we do a lot of essays and tutorials. Whereas over there, they don't have any sort of essays or tutorials going on. They just have the classes and then an exam. So it was quite a different mentality. But at the same time, I also came back, I think, feeling a lot more relaxed than a lot of other law students are in their final year now. They had quite a stressful second year, and then they've had like they're already stressed before they've even started third year. Whereas I came back thinking, oh, this is great. I'm really relaxed and ready to get back involved and start, doing all the boring, scary final year work.
Oh, very good. And did you have to pass, or did you have to get a certain grade, or how did that work? Coming back to the UK.
Yeah, over there I only had to pass. So obviously it was very much like being back in first year. There wasn't as much stress on any of the courses as you get sort of obviously when the courses count towards your final degree. So that was very good over there, the chance to be more relaxed.
Yeah, definitely. And dare I say, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the shorter courses, or do you prefer the longer ones over here?
To be honest, I think I prefer their courses over there because you just get the opportunity to learn about a lot of different things rather than getting particularly in law, you can get some very specific, detailed things that you're like, brilliant.
Yeah.
And you're over here, whereas over there you just get a better overview, I think, of what's going on across the world rather than just very specific UK things.
Yeah, wow. And then, so how did you go about finding your accommodation over there?
Well, there wasn't actually that many halls and availability to just... one of my friends that went to France, she literally was just signed up to go into halls, and it was really easy for her. She went over there, before classes started and moved straight in, but they didn't really have that in Belgium, so we had to go and find your own accommodation.
Right.
But I just went over for a weekend in the summer holidays before going out there. And it's very easy to find, because at first I was like, oh, it's going to be really difficult, but you just go around, they call them cots, which are basically like small halls, they're like houses with about 15, 16 rooms, and you just literally, you go in one, I went round about 4 or 5, and you just find one that's the nicest, and it's very much like house hunting over here, you just find the nicest room and take it.
Oh, brilliant. And did you enjoy sort of living in that sort of environment of, say, 15 or 16 rooms?
I lived in quite a small flat. There's only 2 of us in it, which I think in hindsight was a little bit of a mistake.
Why?
Because most of my friends were in these bigger, they call them the cots, that were like 15, 16 rooms, and they had a lot better atmosphere. Like there's a lot more people to meet, obviously. So I spent most of my time in other people's flats rather than my own.
Right.
Because obviously when you're in a 2, you think, oh, it's great because they have bigger rooms and there's obviously a bigger kitchen for just the 2 of you. But at the same time, living with just one person you don't really know can obviously become a bit stressful if you don't know each other that well and don't get on that well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and did you end up meeting quite a lot of local people, or just students, or how did that work?
To be honest, to start with, we met a lot of international people because there's a lot of international events organised, so you get to meet a lot of international and Erasmus students. But after that, you soon get to meet local people as well, particularly in Belgium. All of their English and French, which is my languages, they're very impressively fluent at all of them.
Yeah.
So, in fact, on the very first night, me and another girl from the university, from my university at home, we'd met up because obviously we knew we were going out there, and we were looking for an international party, and we were completely lost, having never been in the city before.
Yeah.
And we bumped into this guy, and we're like, oh, will you give us directions? And he literally went completely out of his way, walked us to the event we wanted to go to, and then ended up coming in with us. And he was just a random, nice. He was a student at the university. Obviously, he's a Dutch student, a Belgian student, and from then on, we were friends with him and all of his group of friends. And it's a lot less scary to meet people than you think.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's, like we were saying earlier, that's one of the worries, is meeting people, but it just happens. You meet so many people, and they just seem to pop up from nowhere.
Well, that's it. We literally bumped into him in the street and asked for directions, and then we became friends for an entire year. I mean, it just something you don't really think, like, oh, that wouldn't happen, but it actually does when you're over there.
Definitely, definitely. And so, what if you were to go back and do it all again? Would you change anything?
To be honest, there's very little that I would change. Obviously, I said about the houses, I think I'd live in a much bigger house, but apart from that, it was a really fantastic experience. I mean, you meet so many different people. I mean, I'm still in touch with a lot of them now. You get to travel so many different places. If anything, I'd probably travel even more, spend even more time traveling and going out and experiencing different things. But realistically, there's plenty of opportunity to do that, and there's very little that I would actually change in that respect.
Wow. And what's the one thing that you would say to someone who's about to go on their year abroad?
My one piece of advice, I think, is for when you go over there, if you do have to find a house like we did in Belgium, be very careful that you rent a house that has furniture in.
Yeah.
In Europe, a lot of flats that are rented, they're rented without any furniture, or even one guy ended up renting something without a carpet, didn't have a floor in.
Wow. I bet that was expensive.
Yeah, so I'd say that was probably the one thing. We went over to our flat, and we literally the girls had taken out the light fittings. They were that sort of serious about clearing the flat. But we obviously did a very quick IKEA trip to remedy that. But that's the one piece of advice: make sure you know what is going to be in your flat when you go over there.
Oh, brilliant, really good. And so, has this going on a year abroad changed you in any way? Did you find that you came back different?
I think, if anything, it made me quite a lot more confident. Because you go over there, that's it, you have all those nervous feelings and you're like, this is good, this could be absolutely terrible, this could be like really scary, I'm not going to meet anybody, but you just meet so many different people from so many different places that you soon find it really easy just to talk to anybody about anything from anywhere. So I think, if anything, it made it a lot easier for me to sort of talk to people that you wouldn't necessarily normally, in university at home you get in your group and you have quite a set group of friends normally, whereas now I think I feel much more confident just going up to anybody and striking up a conversation about whatever they want to talk about.
Wow, brilliant. And what about the city where you were living? What was it like?
It was very nice to see. It was a bit of like an oldie worldy city. It wasn't a massive city. It wasn't like anything like London or anything like that. It was quite small, but it had a really good vibe. It had actually the biggest bar in Europe, which is an entire street of tiny little independent bars, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
It was a very student town. There's a lot of the university was really big in the city, and it was very pretty. It was very picturesque, and it's the home of Stella, which was nice.
Wow, very good. And did you have any moments where you felt a bit down on this home or anything like that? And if you did, how did you sort of cheer yourself up?
I mean, occasionally, obviously, you think, particularly with me being a law student, a lot of people were graduating and finishing their degree, and when they were talking about that, you're thinking, oh God, I'm not finishing, you're all going to be done. But I think over there, you very quickly, because there's not as many your family aren't there, and you can't just go home every weekend. You sort of form strong relationships with people quite quickly.
Yeah.
I think. Within the first month, there was a couple of people there that I would definitely have counted as my best friends, and I think that makes it a lot easier because you're all sort of have those occasional moments where you're missing people, you want to talk about something, and obviously you want somebody that you're quite close to if it's something personal to talk about. I think because everyone has those moments, you do become very quickly bonded together, and you sort of become quite firm friends quite quickly because you're all in that very similar experience. You all sort of have the occasional, missing home, but at the same time, there's always people there to talk to. There's always people out out there to take you out and cheer you up and just be like, let's go out and have a drink, and you don't worry about it so much because you realise that your friends are actually there as well. You've got such good friends there, and you don't think so much about all the things you're missing out on because you realise you're having your own experience.
Brilliant. And just a final question, would you recommend it?
I would definitely recommend it, 100%. I think it's just great to go out there, get involved and meet new people, and you do meet friends for life, and you have places now that I could go and say, oh, I'm just going to go and visit my friend in like Spain, or it's great for holidays.
Yeah, brilliant. You can start couch hopping around the world, sort of thing, around all your friends. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Kate. Thank you for being on the call with us today. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for listening. And I'll be back again at 11 o'clock with Emma, who went to Germany.
Brilliant.